We have 30 insane facts about Scotland that you never knew. Look, man, I did a DNA test. I got like 1.52% Scotland in me, bruh. So I had to go ahead and check out what's in Scotland. What was my ancestors doing in Scotland, man? There was probably slaves, but actually Scotland had slaves probably. Or I don't know, man, but I got to go ahead and check out, what they had going on in Scotland. But I'm pretty sure it's probably settlers from Scotland in the US that mated with some of my ancestors who were slaves. I don't know how it went, but let's go ahead and see what Scotland has to offer, man. If y'all new here, hit that sub button, like the video. Let's check it out.
Most world maps make look like a small, forgettable peninsula above England. But it is sitting on top of some of the most extraordinary, world record-breaking geography on this entire planet. Let's go through some of them. Starting off with fact 30, take a look at North Uist, one of the Outer Hebrides Islands off Scotland's western coast. From the air, it looks...
Hold on, fam. Scotland look like that, y'all?
Strange. Wrong, almost. More than half of North Uist's surface area is water. The island itself is more than 50% lochs, pools, and flooded terrain. Local pilots describe it not as an island surrounded by water, but as water occasionally interrupted by land. It looks less like solid ground and more like a drowned sponge from 30,000 feet up. Fact 29. Scotland has over 31,000 freshwater lochs, covering 2% of the country's total area. That number only counts the ones large enough to appear on a map. Add in the smaller pools, bog lochs, and highland tarns, and the figure climbs dramatically. Scotland alone holds nearly 90% of all freshwater surface area in the entire United Kingdom. Fact 28. Now come with me to the Cairngorms in the heart of Scotland, the UK's largest continuous area of high ground. A tenth of the national park lies above 800 meters, and the central plateau sits between 1,000 and 1,200 meters in elevation. Wind gusts can exceed 161 kilometers per hour, and wind chill can drop below zero even in summer. Across the plateau stand granite tors, huge rock towers carved by retreating Ice Age glaciers, rising like something from another world. Fact 27. There is a body of water in the Scottish Highlands called Loch Morar. You've probably never heard of it. It reaches 310 meters deep, nearly 100 meters deeper than Loch Ness. Its bottom lies below sea level, despite being entirely inland. The water is black with peat, so dark that even sonar and cameras struggle to explore its depths. And yes, it has its own monster, the morag.
I was going to say, bro, I guarantee there's something down there. The Loch Ness Monster. Something is in there, bro.
That even sonar and cameras struggle to explore its depths. And yes, it has its own monster, the morag. Reported for centuries by local fishermen and residents. And science is just as limited in front of it. Fact 26. You already know the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, right? Now, there are rocks on the Scottish Hebridean coast that are 3 billion years old. When those rocks formed, there was no multicellular life on this planet, no oxygen in the atmosphere. The continents looked nothing like anything on any map you've ever seen. Fact 25. You see those long lines on the mountains of Glenroy? Perfectly horizontal lines run across the mountainsides.
Perfect, too.
For centuries, they were mistaken for ancient roads. Even Charles Darwin misidentified them. They are actually the shorelines of a glacial lake that existed during the last ice age. An ice dam trapped the lake, which stabilized at 3 different levels as glaciers advanced and retreated, carving terraces at each height. When the ice melted, the lake drained, leaving the shorelines visible today. Fact 24. Around 300 million years ago, Scotland was near the equator. It was hot and tropical. The hills of Ascent and the rocks of Skye still hold coral reef fossils inside them. Real reef structures from warm tropical seas that once covered what is now cold, windy highland land. Over millions of years, Scotland slowly moved north, carrying those old fossils with it. Most textbooks never mention this. Fact 23. Most people have never heard of the Flow Country. It sits in the far north of Scotland. It is the biggest blanket bog on Earth, bigger than the whole county of Devon. It formed over 10,000 years after the Ice Age, as forests slowly died in the cold and wet, leaving thick layers of peat. UNESCO calls it globally important, yet it barely appears on any tourist map. Fact 22. Speaking of weather that builds at ocean scale, Scotland's Atlantic coast gets huge waves borne thousands of kilometers away. The North Atlantic has nothing blocking it, so storms near Newfoundland send waves traveling 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers before they hit Scotland. This makes the Hebrides one of Europe's best big wave surfing spots. Massive, perfect waves arriving in almost slow motion. Fact 21. The River Tay may look like an ordinary wide river at Perth, but it carries more water than the Thames and Severn combined, England's two most famous rivers, the one flowing through London and the one forming much of the Welsh border. Together have a lower average flow than this single Scottish river, with an average discharge of 160 to 179 cubic meters per second and a length of 119 miles. The Tay is also Scotland's longest river. Fact 20. The Caledonian pine forest once covered most of Scotland. Today, less than 1% is left. Over centuries, it was cleared for farming, iron smelting, shipbuilding, and even to remove hiding places.
I thought he said something else, boy. I know I wasn't the only one. I know y'all heard that too. I'm gonna rewind. I know y'all heard that.
Scotland. Today, less than 1% is left. Over centuries, it was cleared for farming, iron smelting, shipbuilding, and even to remove hiding places for wolves and outlaws. What remains, in Glen Affric, Rothiemurchus, and the Black Wood of Rannoch, are not just forests. They are the last tiny pieces of a landscape that once defined the whole country. Fact 19. In those surviving fragments of ancient forests, something small and red is hanging on. Scotland is home to 75% of Britain's red squirrels. In England and Wales, red squirrels were nearly wiped out by the gray squirrel, brought over from North America in 1876. Gray
Squirrels is over beefing, dog. They got territories too. Look, the gray squirrels is down here, the red squirrels is up here, then they got the mixture between the two. I guess they had a treaty right here. They made peace right here.
Wales, red squirrels were nearly
this is the border where they fighting right
wiped
there.
out by the gray squirrel, brought over from North America in 1876. Gray squirrels carry a virus that kills red squirrels. Scotland's remote highland forests gave red squirrels a safe place to survive, one that does not exist anywhere else in Britain. Fact 18. Hidden within Scotland's remaining pine forests is the Scottish wildcat, often called the Highland tiger or Felis sylvestris. Fewer than 300 pure wildcats are thought to remain in the wild, so few that there are more wild tigers worldwide than pure Scottish wildcats. Fiercely solitary and impossible to domesticate, they have been pushed to the brink by habitat.
Imagine seeing this and thinking this is just a regular house cat, bruh. Little as you know, that mug is gonna attack you.
Loss and generations of interbreeding with feral domestic cats, making pure bloodlines increasingly rare. Britain's rarest native mammal, the Scottish wildcat, is barely hanging on. Fact 17. Now, this one is genuinely hard to sit with. The killer whales that visit Scotland's north coast, known as the West Coast Community, is effectively a population heading for local extinction. Toxic pollution caused a total breeding failure, meaning no calves have been born for over 30 years. The pod lost its reproductive future when the last female, Lulu, died in 2016. Today, only 2 aging, infertile males survive, John Coe and Aquarius. Fact 16. On the island of Jura, wild, nearly uninhabited, and
that's insane, y'all. Only 2, bruh. Nah, man. Free Willy, dog.
Only 2 aging, infertile males survive, John Coe and Aquarius. Fact 16. On the island of Jura, wild, nearly uninhabited, and reached by a single-track road, there are 6,000 red deer and just 196 people. Most of Jura's deer roam the slopes of the Paps of Jura, 3 huge, steep quartzite mountains that dominate the island's skyline. Fact 15. The island...
hold on, bro. I feel like we ain't spending enough time on these facts because we talking about 6,000 deers compared to 196 people.
Most of Jura's deer roam the slopes of the Paps of Jura, 3 huge, steep quartzite mountains that dominate the...
196 people live there, bro. But there's 6,000 deer.
The island's skyline. Fact 15. The island of Lismore's name means Great Garden in Gaelic. Its unusual limestone geology makes the land extremely fertile. While nearby islands like Mull and Jura are dark, rugged, and covered in heather, Lismore stands out as a bright green island filled with rich grass and wildflowers. Fact 14. The UK's grey seal population represents over 40% of the entire world population of grey seals. Scotland hosts roughly 90% of those UK seals, meaning Scotland, this single northern country, is home to more than a third of every grey seal alive on this planet. Fact 13. Now, here's where things become quietly terrifying. In the Highland Rivers, Scotland holds roughly half of the world's remaining freshwater pearl mussels. These creatures are extraordinarily sensitive. They require clean gravel beds, undisturbed riverbanks, and water free from agricultural runoff. Across most of the world, those conditions have disappeared. Scotland is one of their last true hopes, but the margin for survival is thin. Fact 12. Now, from the deeply serious to the deeply Scottish, the island of Islay. Just about 620 square kilometers, yet it hosts 11 working whiskey distilleries, making it the highest density of malt whiskey production per square mile on Earth. The island carries a constant mix of peat smoke, Atlantic salt, and aged spirit. Whiskey is its second largest employer after farming. 11 distilleries, each producing something distinct, all drawing from the same ancient peat and island water. If you have not been, consider going. Fact 11. 44 miles northeast of the Isle of Lewis, deep in the North Atlantic, lies North Rona, one of the most remote islands in the British Isles.
Hold on, did that say island wipeout by rats? Please don't tell me this island right here was infested with rats and everybody had to run away.
Once permanently inhabited until 1844, it is believed to have supported a tiny community of around 30 people, whose Gaelic dialect existed nowhere else.
Oh.
That settlement effectively vanished around 1685 after a shipwreck accidentally introduced black rats, which devastated their barley meal stores and food supply.
They took over, boy. I know they multiplied
Fact
out
10.
there.
Now, this one was broadcast live on BBC television to 15 million people. On the island of Hoy in Orkney, rising from red sandstone cliffs, stands the Old Man of Hoy, a 137-meter sea stack with a summit barely 9 meters wide. Its first ascent in 1966 was a landmark in British climbing history, watched live by millions on television. The stack
That's
is
wild. I knew I wouldn't go up there, y'all. I'm scared to death of heights. Scared to death of heights. And being on top of this, knowing it ain't very wide, it ain't a lot of room up here. Nah, fam.
still standing, but it is slowly eroding. Every winter storm takes a little more. Eventually, it will fall into the sea.
Dang.
Fact 9. Now imagine a community with their own island to live. That's a dream life, isn't it? The community buyout of the Isle of Gia on March 15, 2002, and it is celebrated as one of the most successful and groundbreaking land reform milestones in Scottish history. The island's 98 residents formed the Isle of Gia Heritage Trust to purchase the island for £4 million, officially settled at £4.15 million. Fact 8. Ben Nevis, the highest mountain in the British Isles at 1,345 meters, is known for creating its own rapid weather shifts. Conditions can change from clear skies and warmth to zero visibility, freezing temperatures, and ice within 30 minutes as the Atlantic cloud rolls in, then clear again just as quickly, repeating multiple times a day. Even experienced mountaineers have died here in summer, caught out by its sudden and violent weather changes.
Facts, because imagine now you hiking, you know what I'm saying? You're not even prepared. You should be prepared knowing this. But imagine you not prepared and you hiking this mountain in the summertime. 30 minutes later, you in a blizzard. Like, come on, fam. Like, what type of...
Fact 7.
What?
And here's where geography stops making sense entirely.
Nah, it didn't make sense, right? 30 minutes, I'm in a blizzard? You mean to tell me it was whole summer out here, now I'm in a blizzard?
Scotland's northernmost islands, sits on a geological boundary unlike almost anywhere else on Earth. The eastern and western parts of the islands were formed on different ancient continents. West of a major fault are rocks linked to Laurentia, ancient North America. East of the fault are rocks linked to Baltica, ancient Scandinavia. Shetland literally lies on the zone where these two continents collided around 400 million years ago. Fact 6. Cape Wrath is the most northwesterly point of mainland Britain, and its extreme, isolated geography makes it one of the most challenging places to reach in the UK. It is completely cut off from the rest of the UK's road network by the Kyle of Durness, a deep-sea inlet.
Fact 5. Back to the Cairngorms. The Scottish Highlands
But also, do people live there? Like, since it's so cut off, like what's going on up there?
contain the only wild mountain reindeer in Britain, grazing freely above 800 meters in the Cairngorms. The herd currently comprises approximately 150 reindeer. Reindeer are actually a native Scottish species that was hunted to extinction around 800 years ago before being successfully reintroduced in 1952. Fact 4. There is a fog in Scotland called the Har. It comes from the North Sea, cold, dense, and incredibly thick. When warm air moves across the cold surface of the North Sea, the moisture turns into fog so dense it can swallow entire cities. Edinburgh disappears into it. Aberdeen vanishes.
Oh my gosh.
Temperatures can fall by 10
This looks like a scene from Harry Potter.
degrees Celsius in just minutes. A bright summer afternoon suddenly becomes gray, cold, and damp.
Game of
It
Thrones
arrives
or
without
something, huh?
warning and leaves just as suddenly, like the Batman. Fact 3. And this one, for anyone who has ever watched a historical drama and wished they could step inside the screen. The village of Coolross in Fife is widely considered the most complete and unaltered survival of a 16th and 17th century Scottish town anywhere in the country. Whitewashed, harled houses, stepped gables, original cobblestone streets. A town so perfectly preserved that when the production team for Outlander came looking for a ready-made historical location, they found it here. They required almost no modification. Fact 2. Edinburgh's Old Town was built on top of a single volcanic ridge, the solid core of an ancient volcano that did not wear away while the land around it slowly eroded. The castle stands at the highest point of this ridge. The city developed along the long spine of the rock, shaped by its natural form. Its street layout is still mostly medieval today, making it one of the best preserved historic city plans in the world. And finally, Fact 1, 1788, Sicker Point. Geologist James Hutton arrived with 2 colleagues and saw something no one had properly understood before. 2 rock formations meeting at a sharp angle, one vertical, one horizontal, separated by an immense, almost incomprehensible gap in time. He couldn't calculate it, but he understood what it implied: hundreds of millions of years. "We find no vestige of a beginning," he wrote, "no prospect of an end." This discovery broke the biblical idea of the Earth's age and led to the birth of modern geology.
These are just the 30 facts about a country which has been quietly sitting on a 3 billion year old rock. Rivers holding species found nowhere else on Earth. Mountains that make their own storms. This place is ancient.
Now, the craziest thing I heard was the weather changed while hiking. 30 minutes later, you mean to tell me I'm in a blizzard? I still can't get over that, bro. Look, man, comment down below the craziest thing that you learned about Scotland in this video. It's the blizzard. It's the summer to blizzard for me. That's wild. That's why I couldn't imagine preparing to go hike in the summertime, being halfway up the mountain, and you tell me now it's a whole blizzard. The mountain's white. It's insane to me, dog. But look, man, comment down below y'all thoughts. Hope you guys enjoy my reaction, my commentary. If there's any other countries you guys want me to check out on the channel, let me know. But stay tuned for next, man. Peace.